phases of the ovarian cycle and the phases of the uterine cycle, also called menstrual cycle too. In the ovary, you got growth of the follicles, follicular phase. That sometimes is also called the pre-ovulatory phase, but follicular phase is what I think we chose to call it rather. Then you have ovulation, and then after that, the corpus luteum grows. Therefore, we call that luteal phase, and that's ovary now. Now, what do you call the phases in the changes of the endometrium in the uterus? What do you call it when it's discharged? Menstruation, we know that, or menses. And then what do you call it when the estrogens cause it to start building up again after the functional layer is lost? Proliferation. Proliferative phase. Proliferative or proliferation, which means to grow. And then the last part of that phase, where it's then finally getting prepared for the possible pregnancy to maximum thickness, where you got all these glands. That's the way to remember it. All these glands, endometrial glands, are fully developed and secreting. We call that the secretory phase. That's when pregnancy is possible, when it's in the secretory phase. Some folks will call a uterus at that point, they'll call it a gravid uterus too, because it's all prepared for the pregnancy to possibly come. And the feedback, the non-pregnant cycle, of course, we have the FSH causing the follicles to grow in the ovary, and the follicles in the ovary secrete estrogen, the granulosa cells do, that make the uterine lining start to proliferate. And then there's a feedback which inhibits FSH so that you don't have more eggs growing, so to speak. And then later on, there's, is that my stomach growling? No. Go eat something. But anyway, there's a stage when the LH then spikes, of course, and what does that do? Inhibits. The FSH is inhibited, LH then spikes, and that causes ovulation. It develops the corpus luteum. Corpus luteum then continues to make some estrogens, but the new kid on the block, progesterone, they together will complete the endometrium for possible pregnancy. But those hormones will inhibit, progesterone and estrogen will inhibit LH. When LH is inhibited, and there's nothing to take its place, that is, there's no pregnancy, the corpus luteum will become corpus albicans. It'll shrivel up. You cannot maintain adequate progesterone and estrogen then. And that's the death of that functional layer. It will then be discharged. But in a pregnancy, what is there that allows a chemical to take the place of LH? A little blastocyst, or where the embryo will develop, let's put it that way, is there. And what do you call the hormone that it makes that takes the place of LH? Human, or HCG, but let's call it out the whole name. Human chorionic gonadotropin. I maybe didn't make it clear why they call it chorionic, because that's the outer membrane of that developing embryo. The outer membrane is chorion. That's what will form part of the placenta later, as a matter of fact.